Hi everyone, I hope you're keeping well and looking after yourselves. Welcome back to another video of mine, and today I will be discussing the exercise Summarize the Spoken Text with you. And the way I normally do, I'll first be talking about how the marking or how the scoring for this exercise works. That is, where do you get marks and where do you not get marks and how do you lose marks. And then I'll be giving you tips along with solving one of the previously asked question examples and showing you how this is done. Sounds good? Let's go. So firstly, let's talk about how do you get marks for this exercise, or how are you graded. So in this exercise, you're graded on 5 aspects, or basically 5 traits. Those are content, sentence formation, grammar, vocabulary, and obviously word spellings. So what does content mean? Content basically means that when you listen to the recording or to the speech, how relevant is your writing to the speech or the recording that you've just heard? That's pretty much content. The more relevant it is, the more you score. Then comes form or sentence formation. What they want to look at is how good is your summary, how well framed it is, how good is your sentence formation, is it coherent or not, is it relevant to what you've heard again or not. That's your sentence formation. Again, remember, for this exercise you're supposed to write 50 to 70 words. Do not write 49 words. Do not write 71 words. That's the easiest way to lose marks. 50 to 70 words, that's it. After content and sentence formation, it goes without saying that every writing task basically includes grammar, vocabulary, and spelling. So if you feel like you're weak in any of these 3 aspects, it's a good idea to practice your writing so that you get better at these things. If not, keep watching videos, you will get better. But well, let's get back to this exercise then. So in this exercise, what basically happens is you listen to a recording which varies from 30 seconds to 2 minutes. Could be anywhere between 30 seconds to 120 seconds. And as you're listening, you tend to take down notes. You have a notepad and a pencil or a erasable marker in the examination, and you take down notes. You write whatever you're listening to, and once the recording stops, you have 10 minutes. The good thing is that you have 10 minutes, which is ample time to come up with your summary and frame it and come up with all the ideas that you've just heard in the recording and make the most out of it. So without much ado, we'll start with this recording that I want to do first with you guys, but I also want to tell you what you need to look for or what you need to listen to when the recording is being played. Firstly, you need to know that what's the theme of the recording, or what is it that they're trying to address. Is the recording about maybe clean water? Is it about charity? Is it about maybe the COVID-19 situation? What is it about? What's the main theme idea? Then, as you're making notes does not mean that write down the entire transcript of the recording. No, you don't need to write word by word. Make sure that you write enough so that if you read it again, you're able to recollect or think about everything that was spoken in the recording, and it all comes back to your head. That's about it. More about that when we start our first example. But as I play this recording, what I want you to do is listen to it properly so that you know what the theme is, what the topic of the recording is, and at the same time make some notes so that you have something to look at. So without much ado now, I will be playing the first recording, and I will be doing this with you.
The amount of money drug companies spend on TV ads has doubled in recent years, and it's no wonder. Studies show the commercials work. Consumers go to their doctors with a suggestion for a prescription drug they saw advertised on TV. Now, a study in the Annals of Family Medicine raises questions about the message these ads promote. NPR's Patty Naiman reports.
You are most likely to see drug ads during prime time, especially around the news. Researchers analyzed 38 ads aimed at people with conditions like hypertension, herpes, high cholesterol, depression, arthritis, and allergies. The drug industry says these ads arm consumers with information, but researchers found that though the information was technically accurate, the tone was misleading. UCLA psychologist Dominic Frosch headed the study.
What we would see in these ads is that before taking the prescription drug, the character's life was out of control. And the loss of control really extended beyond just the impact of the health condition.
For example, herpes patients were portrayed as being incapacitated for days, insomniacs utterly out of sync on the job, and depressed patients friendless and boring at parties.
When the character is then shown taking the drug, he then magically regains complete control of his life.
None of the ads, of course, mentioned lifestyle changes that could also help treat the condition. After all, it's mass marketing. But in this case, Frosch says, prescription medications are not like soap.
All right, so there stops the recording. It was around 1.5 minutes long. And what I did during this recording was I made these notes. And now what I've done is, if you can look at these notes that I've just made, I will be looking at the notes, which are obviously in my handwriting. They're not very clear, so I've just formatted those in front of you on a computer screen so that you can make out what I've written. I will be encircling any 4 points or any 4 words. So I'll start with the first one. What was the theme of this recording first? It was obviously about drug advertisement. So that's the theme of the recording, and that's what the topic is of the speech or of the lecture, or in this case, the news report. So the 4 words that I want to look at, the 4 key points that I will choose, I'll take recent years. There's been an upsurge in the advertisements. Then I can see that the drug ads, there are about 38 ads that are aired during the prime time. I was able to get the number 38 ads about the prime time. Now, one thing I want you to know is that when the ad was being played, there were a few names that they took about, someone from the Los Angeles News Department or all those places, and I was not able to write down the names, but that's completely fine. They don't expect you to write down the names of each and every journalist or researcher that's been spoken about. So, well, I'll be skipping on that one, and I'll still come up with my summary. So I've chosen the word recent years. There's been an increase. Then about 38 ads during the prime time of the television. Then I can say that, people who are generally boring at parties, they tend to have a magical effect when they take these drugs or recreational drugs, and it actually really helps them. So that's another point that I've written, and I'll be encircling that as well. And the final point is that the ads, they do not talk about the actual effect of the drugs. They don't talk about the medical or the medical effects of the drugs, like why should they be used in the first place. It's all a marketing extravaganza wherein they just want to talk about the good things and make it more sellable. So which is probably why drug marketing is not a very good idea, which is what was said towards the end. So I've got my 4 points now, and I've just encircled them. And if you can look at this, if you can look at the screen now, I have 4 points which are enough for me to write 50 to 70 words on. I obviously will start with that the topic was about drug advertisement, and then I'll talk about these 4 points that I've encircled. Now, based on the 4 points that I had encircled, I have been able to fabricate a summary for myself, and here it is. Nowadays, drug advertisements are more relevant than ever. News reporters and researchers from all around the country have been addressing this recent upsurge. About 38 different drug advertisements are aired on television during prime time. People initially considered boring at parties seem to be making the most of recreational drugs as is being promoted in these gimmicks. Mass marketing tends to hide the therapeutical use of this drug, or rather the uses of this drug. So as you can see, the summary is short, concise, sweet, and I've not used more than the 4 points that I've marked. So the first sentence basically addresses what the talk is about, drug advertisements, which was the theme. The next sentence talks about the recent upsurge, or like recently there's been an increase in the number of ads. The next point is about the 38 ads being aired at prime time. The fourth point is obviously about people being boring at parties and how they found their safe haven in drugs or in recreational drugs. And the fifth one is how the mass marketing actually tends to hide the actual therapeutic use of the drugs. Now, one very common mistake that a lot of students make is when they're writing the summary, they start off writing that the lecturer spoke about, or the talker spoke about, or the person spoke about. And this is not something you do in writing a summary, because when you're writing a summary, you're writing as if you're the first person, as if you're the one who actually spoke it, and then you're going to write down what you just spoke. So when you write the summary of something you just said, you're not going to say that I said this, I said that. No, you're just going to talk about the topic as it is. Whereas for retail, the lecture, it's a bit different, but we'll come on to that sometime later. But for writing a summary of the spoken text, you're supposed to write as if you're the first person and as if you're the one who just spoke about it. And that makes writing a lot easier. So a lot of students tend to say the lecturer also said, the speaker also said, the speaker also spoke. No, that's something that's not desired in this exercise and for which you may actually lose marks. So it's always a better idea to be on the safer side and avoid doing that, and instead writing as a first person yourself. And just like any writing exercise, grammar, vocabulary, and spellings, these are the three main pillars of any writing exercise. Making grammatical errors is something that's inevitable, no matter how good your English writing skills are. It's something that does happen, and that only goes away with lots and lots of practice. So if you practice writing essays and get it checked by someone who is a professional or someone who's done this their entire life, or at least for a very long time, you obviously have a much better chance of clearing this exercise without making any grammatical errors. However, if you do end up making one or two small grammatical errors, that is fine. Your grades are not going to fall drastically. You won't get a 90 when it comes to the grammar at the bottom of your score sheet, where you get marks for written discourse, grammar, vocabulary, pronunciation, and all those things. You won't get a 90 in grammar. You'll still get a good score. You might still get a 90 in writing. Even if you make one or two grammatical errors, that's fine. But like I said, grammar only goes away with practice. Then comes spellings. What happens in spellings? now we've been spoiled in the 21st century. When we tap on the computer, we have autocorrect feature where in MS Word, if you're typing, you get a red wavy line under the spelling mistakes and you can easily fix them. When you're typing a message on the phone, you either use slangs, or even if you type a word wrong, there's autocorrect feature that fixes it for you. This has actually made it really hard for us to know the correct spellings of words without being aware of it. So if you're just sitting there and being like, oh, spelling mistakes, I just know the spellings of every word there ever is, you're wrong. Because I'll be very honest with you, it's even the professionals, even native language speakers who've been speaking English from like the very first day of speaking in their entire lives that tend to make these spelling mistakes, and that's pretty much because of these habits that I've just said, autocorrection features, and maybe the use of slangs in modern day. And if you listen to music these days, there are a lot of slangs involved, and we're just not used to typing words down or reading newspapers or reading articles every now and then that actually enrich our spellings or vocabulary. So one very good practice would be to maybe probably turn off the autocorrect feature on your phone and also on your computer when you're typing words, and read that word, a sentence again that you've just written, and see if there are any spelling mistakes, and if there are, work on those. Do this for about a month before your examination and you'll see your spelling mistakes go down and you getting more marks in spellings. Just try it. So well, that was one very interesting exercise that we just did about summarize the spoken text. Do let me know how you feel. What do you think of this strategy? If it did help you, do comment below if you have any questions or queries regarding this, or any suggestions. I'm very happy to read your comments and see what you can come up with for me. And if there's anything you found specifically helpful, or something where you think you need more help with, and I'd be more than happy to make a video when I can. I love doing these workshops. I obviously discuss more about these. Maybe not everything on YouTube, but I love discussing and coming up with more and more strategies that are more suited for everyone, as I believe everyone has a different style. And well, do let me know again how you think, and if you really like this video, just click on subscribe and like this video. For me, it really helps me and it helps you as well, as I keep on posting regular content. All right guys, I'll see you later. Peace.